The truth behind this Samuel Montembeault extension is that a trade is essentially imminent for Montreal as it's time for a changing of the guard in net, with Jake Allen almost certainly being the guy to be sent out very soon. We'll be diving into that, plus a reaction to the Samuel Montembeault extension, which we love, all on this episode of Habs Digest. But before we get into the video, a quick reminder, guys, if you're one of the thousands, one of the 60% of people that watch these videos every single day that hasn't hit the subscribe button, we'd really appreciate it if you did. We're trying to get to 10,000 subs, and if you could be part of the first 10,000, we'd love it. Let's jump straight into this, Jesse. And look, the Samuel Montembeault extension came in today, and we're going to be talking about it in just a bit. But we got to open this with the real reason behind it. Now, obviously, he signed a 3-year extension, $3.15 million per year. And the cool thing about it is that it's actually front-loaded, where he's going to get paid a total of $5 million next year, $3 million the year after that, $2.45 later. So not only does this mean that, the Habs have confidence in him for next year, it makes him more tradable down the line. But as we all know, they're not only making this tradable, well, it certainly seems like they're making one of their other goalies more tradable now, as Jake Allen is the likely trade candidate in net. And Monty extended. You have Monty through 2027, and Allen signed at 3.85 through the end of next year. And the Habs can still eat some cap in a trade, Jesse. I know we're all excited about the Monty signing, and trust me, we'll get into that in a bit, but you have to think this signifies a trade for Jake Allen soon, and there's a few teams that'll definitely be coming knocking.
There's a lot of things that you can take from this recent signing. A lot of work went into this. What I like about it, though, just to briefly speak on it, is that's it's enough for Montembeault to really feel kind of respected. He's getting that money that he kind of deserves. I think, statistically speaking, very much on par. And you could argue a slight bargain as well, but it also gives us that flexibility where it's 3 years, to kind of, it's not the end of the world. There's no trade protection on it. But most importantly, but 3 years also, you're getting that flexibility, but also that stability, right? Because it's long enough of a time where, it's gonna have a stabilizing effect on our net, but also, give us some wiggle room for in the future as well. And it really feels like exactly that, the changing of the guard, where we're kind of moving on from that stability previously of Jake Allen, who is going to be the tandem, who's going to be the backup to Jake Allen with his previous 2-year extension that he signed to now Samuel Montembeault. I feel like the question is, who is going to be the tandem with him going forward?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are saying it's going to be Cayden Primeau, for now at least, right? Primeau, I think, has another year after this year left, and he's, look, he's been okay. He had a pretty bad game there last game, but he's had some really good showing so far this year. And with a lot of people saying, let's just give Cayden Primeau a shot, give him some more minutes, that's exactly what he needs at the NHL level to get better. Everyone's talking about moving Jake Allen, and we're seeing teams. We've linked him to Edmonton before. We got a bunch of videos linking him to Edmonton. Go check those out. I mean, there were lots of things saying that the Habs were linked to Xavier Bourgault, Edmonton's top prospect, and Darren Dreger saying there could be a big blockbuster incoming. But there's another team, Jesse, that I wanted to discuss with you really quick, and that's the Carolina Hurricanes. And if we look at their goalie situation right now, it's not good. Of course, Frederik Andersen, we're hoping for his health. I mean, obviously a really, really tough situation going around him. But right now, you got Pyotr Kochetkov and Antti Ranta, 854 and 878 save percentages. And this is a team similar to Edmonton that is really, really looking to make the playoffs and make a Stanley Cup kind of push. They have a couple of guys like Teuvo Teravainen's expiring, Brady Shea is expiring, Marty Necas is expiring heading into RFA. They want to make a push, and they're a team that could eat a little bit of cap as well. They have about $2 million in space, so this could easily work for Jake Allen. I don't know. What do you think about a Jake Allen trade to Carolina? Do you think they'd be willing to give up enough for a guy like Allen to come in for a playoff push? Or do you think they're just going to ride out with what they have?
I think they want to be competitive, so I wouldn't be at all surprised for them making a move for somebody like Jake Allen. You got to feel like in a lot of ways, it does make a lot of sense. I think that his value is definitely recognized around the league, especially for a team that would want some experience like this for sure. So it is really interesting to see. I don't know. You feel like maybe they weren't the most obvious trade partners in the Carolina Hurricanes and the Montreal Canadiens, but I feel like we've turned a page on that now. They're all adults. We're past, the Marc Bergevin era. I feel like we're getting back into a time now where we can start, making a trade, So I feel like, as for Kent Hughes, he definitely wanted to get this done first, right? Before you're trading goalie, you want to first, make sure, you know what you have first. So feel like taking care of this. And we know it hasn't been an ideal situation. And I've almost been surprised to hear the goalies just come out and say for the Montreal Canadiens, this isn't ideal for us. You almost seem that they kind of would sugarcoat it a little bit more,
Yeah.
right? But it just shows it's not the best situation. But you can understand why they would want to be patient. I mean, after a game like last night, like I'm not gonna lie, Josh. Like part of me is like, I still want to see like more from Cayden Primeau
Yeah.
before having us back up. I know we're still rebuilding. Still, I know that our emphasis is on development. So those are the things, though. If we really do want to do that, it does make sense to give him some more run. All the same, and definitely just going to trust Kent Hughes on all of this.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's some targets out there. Like we mentioned, Carter Hart, though, obviously, there's the whole World Junior investigation. Maybe stay away from him. But a guy like Jeremy Swayman, we mentioned before, if Boston doesn't, I'm sure Boston will sign him to whatever. I mean, he's a restricted free agent. But if you can swing him and Cayden Primeau or not Cayden Primeau, Samuel Montembeault as your duo going forward, it'd be amazing. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. For now, I agree. Like, if you want to just win games now, Primeau's maybe not the option, but you at least have Monty, who can take over that 1A role. We saw him do it a bit last year and did it very well when Jake Allen was down. And if Jake Allen's to get traded, Monty's going to be the 1A. And there's not going to be a 1B. It's just Monty is the number 1. And Cayden Primeau is the backup. And you're probably going to see Monty play 85% of the games. So we'll see going forward. But we think a trade's probably coming in. But let's take a break from the trade talk and just talk about Monty, because he absolutely deserves everything he got, Jesse. And, he signed the 3-year, $3.15 AAV deal. And it should quell all the trade rumors, and that's for sure. He could have hit on restricted free agency this summer, but he was like, nah, his priority was always to remain in Montreal. He said security and playing for the team he's always dreamed of playing for were his priorities. Quote from Monty, if I could spend the rest of my career here, I would be happy. And like, not only is he happy, Jesse, I think every single Habs fan is happy. I'm seeing very, very little negativity to this trade, and honestly, good, because this is a perfect signing. And look at this. Going into next year, well, currently it would be the 36th highest paid goalie, but heading into next year after free agency, he's currently on pace to probably be the 32nd highest paid goalie once Swayman and Hart's extensions kick in, or like wherever they sign, however much they sign for, they'll probably be making more than Montembeault, let's be honest. But Jesse, 32nd in average annual value for Samuel Montembeault. I mean, he, in my opinion, well better than the 32nd best goalie in the league. You look at his goals saved above expected, the wins he's carried the Habs to. Has he been the most consistent? No, but he's improving every single day, and I don't think it's a stretch to say he's a top 25, even top 20 goalie. So to me, this cap hit is just perfect for everyone involved, and like you said, it gives stability, but also gives him enough money to say, yeah, man, you made it.
Exactly. It's so true. The money is right on the mark if we're looking in terms of production across the NHL. So I think some great value there from Kent Hughes, once again, as we come to expect from him. And it seems like the praise from Samuel Montembeault is just coming from all corners right now, even from great, current and even former NHL goalies. Roberto Luongo, who was in town recently, as he's now a special advisor to the general manager for the Florida Panthers. When he was in Montreal, he was being interviewed and he was speaking about Samuel Montembeault. They were actually briefly teammates at a certain point, and he was saying that Samuel Montembeault, right, going back, has always had the ability to be a number 1 goalie in this league. And now he's just been able to add a little bit more consistency and maturity, and then we're really seeing the full kind of package come together. And it seems like that's a big word, is consistency. When people are talking about Samuel Montembeault, Jake Allen just recently just said the same thing, like about Samuel Montembeault. Like when he comes up to games, when he goes to practices, on off the ice, he just has this same demeanor, kind of even keel, game in, game out. And he said that this is a really good sign for longevity. When somebody can just be consistent, you're going to have good games. You're going to have bad games sometimes, but if you don't let that affect how you play, you just kind of come with the same approach every day, ready to work, that good things happen. So I really see this all as being good signs for his contract, really aging very nicely for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, I really hope so. And actually, in Arpen Basu's article recently, he's like, hey, it's a small sample size as well. And look, I think it's an amazing extension. I think he's shown every little bit that he could show for that. There are maybe some concerns about inconsistency, but at the same time, even if he doesn't remain the most consistent goalie, this contract is going to age extremely well no matter what. And I think, like, at the very worst, it's a very tradable contract for a guy that has shown flashes of being able to be a number 1 guy. And teams would be willing to line up for that. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to outplay his average annual value every single year. Don't get me wrong. But like we said, Jesse, it's very movable. Kent Hughes and the Habs structured this contract in a way that in the last two, he gets paid his money up front, $5 million this summer, to be like, listen, man, you deserve this. And then obviously, like, average annual value doesn't affect, like, that's just what the cap hit is, even though he's making only, let me show it again, 2.45, for example, in 26-27, the cap hit for the team will still be 3.15. But what this does is, like, we've seen this with teams like the Coyotes, right? You have to pay a player less money, like on your actual team books. If you trade for him at like the deadline, you only have to pay him like $1 million in that last year. So not only is Kent Hughes setting up for the now, getting that extension, that stability in net, he's setting up for any opportunity in the future. And like we talked about before the show, no trade protections. And like, obviously you wish maybe Monty, like, if you're him, you're like, I wish I had a trade protection, whatever. But I think like he got his money. The Habs have stability now and flexibility for the future. Is there even a single downside here?
I really don't think so at all. And what a great story for Samuel Montembeault, going from being picked up on waivers to now more than tripling, his annual salary. I think really, really well deserved. And it just feels so nice for the Montreal Canadiens to just be having that French Quebecer goalie in that. It just always, something about that just always feels great.
Yeah, for sure. He's a stud. We love Samuel Montembeault. We love our boy Dikembe, and hope he stays around for the long haul, because this guy has earned his deal with the Montreal Canadiens. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 10K subs. And hey, all you guys who are still watching at the end, I see you. I see you commenting. I still see the number 4 sometimes, and you all know who you are. Thank you very much for all your support. And again, if you haven't hit subscribe, do it now. I'm Josh Gosse, for my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.